That's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. Top again for Jacko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome back to Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio told like it is. I'm Frank Crivello. Richard Carmen is along for the ride as always. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing this lovely evening? It's so good to be back doing podcasting.
Isn't it nice? And you're perfecting the Larry Zabisco salutation week after week. I like it. Good stuff.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Good stuff. Yeah, good to be talking some Calcio again. It has been a minute, hasn't it?
Oh, indeed it has. And what a weekend to bring it back. Some good action going on. And yeah, man, I'm happy it's back. We're going to have like 4 or 5 days in a row of Calcio. I love it.
And you're doing all right? Things are good over there in DC?
Yeah, we're hanging in tough. It's been crazy, obviously, with all things going on out there. But I'm doing well, staying busy. And yeah, the family's doing well. And yeah, we're trying to get out as much as we can, places that are isolated. And yeah, enjoying the good weather. We're actually having decent weather now. So how about you?
Nice to have good weather. Yeah, summer here. Things are going good. Just celebrated our 12-year wedding anniversary on Sunday. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Had a very relaxing, quiet weekend. Sent the kids up to the in-laws, and then came back down here. Did some hiking. Had a candlelight dinner with curbside carryout. So nice. Our favorite Thai restaurant, and then just lit the fire pit and hung out, and then Sunday was the actual day. Took her for some new golf clubs. So that was her anniversary gift. I'm a hopeless romantic. So, awesome. Yep. So it was a good weekend, and a restful weekend, a good little respite from the kids when you're in quarantine and you're having to pretty much shelter in place or all of this other stuff, and you're losing your mind with the kids around you all the time. It's fine. It's nice to have a little break here and there. So
nice little breather. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, no doubt about it. So tonight I am drinking Lakefront IPA, Lakefront Brewery again out of Milwaukee. I've been very conscious about making sure that my beer is local.
Drink local. There you go.
I buy it. Yep. So trying to help the local breweries out and make sure that they get some of my money during these times. So
I'm helping at the local water filtration plant, I guess. I don't know what's my water here. Staying hydrated, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's probably better than the Milwaukee water. That's for sure. Actually, the Milwaukee water is as good. I mean, I don't live in Milwaukee County, but we get the Milwaukee water, so we're kind of lucky. And Milwaukee had an awful problem with cryptosporidium, some 28 years ago. So, like craziness. Like restaurants were serving canned soda. They couldn't do fountain soda. You couldn't even do ice. It was bizarre until they got it all cleaned up and figured out. Yeah.
Yikes.
No good. So we are also broadcasting live on YouTube. So if you are along for the ride, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, leave some questions. We'll answer them as we go. Glad to have you all with us. So let's get into the Calcio. It's been too long.
It's been way too long, but yeah, let's do it.
All right. Sabrina checking in with us. Hi, Sabrina. Good to see you again. The action resumed on Friday. The second leg of the Coppa Italia was Juventus against Milan. Usually we don't do recaps of Coppa Italia, but we are so Calcio starved.
Yes.
We're going to do it now. So Juventus and Milan taking place at the J. No fans. A 1-1 draw going into this game. Let's get through the lineups. Richard, Juve went with Gigi Buffon in goal, a back four of Danilo, Mattias de Ligt, Leonardo Bonucci, and Alexandro, a midfield of Rodrigo Bentancur, Miralem Pjanic, and Blaise Matuidi. Douglas Costa, Paulo Dybala, Cristiano Ronaldo in attack. Really was the expected lineup all along. Your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty standard lineup. I knew that. I figured it doesn't surprise me that they went with Buffon in goal. He's the stalwart. He is the most experienced in goal. Yeah, Chesney is very experienced as well, but Buffon, he's a really big game player, and why not have him maybe his last one? So let him participate in the semifinal. And the lineup, yeah, it's pretty standard. Nothing surprising there. You expected them to have a strong lineup, and they did.
Yep, it was a pretty strong side that Maurizio Sarri put out, and countering from Milan. A Milan that we knew going in was going to be under strength thanks to suspensions to Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Theo Hernandez. Exactly, yeah. It's been so long I haven't had to talk about him in 3 months. I almost forgot who he was. So, but Milan countered with Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal. A back four of Andrea Conti, Simon Kjaer, Alessio Romagnoli, and Davide Calabria. A two-man midfield in front of that back four of Ismail Benacer and Frank Kessie, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Jack Bonaventura, and Lucas Paquetá behind Ante Rebic. When I saw this, I had little to no hope, largely because of Davide Calabria having to deputize at left back, having to see a lot of Douglas Costa. That was my immediate reaction when I saw these teams.
Yeah, first off, shout out to Rocco. Hey, Rocco, we see you there. And he says he's surprised by Buffon's insertion in there. But yeah, when I saw this lineup, seeing Calabria out there definitely is worrisome. But, having Kjaer back there with Romagnoli, it's really proven a fantastic duo there. And Kjaer's experience, he's very strong defensively. He's a little slow, but it leaves Romagnoli to have less responsibility and to be focused more on his game. Before it was just too much on him. And then the rest of the lineup really, I wasn't too surprised there. Obviously with the two big players, Ibrahimovic and Theo Hernandez missing, you knew it was going to be a tough ask. And I was fully expecting a slaughter in this one, honestly, to be if I'm being frank. The way Juventus lined up,
you can be me. You can try it on.
I can try it on.
Nowadays, it's not that exciting, but
yeah. So no, for real. I wasn't too excited about Milan's prospects going into this game, but they proved me wrong.
Yeah. And the biggest talking points from this game happened around the 16th minute. Yeah. We had a VAR review with Andrea Conti with a handball. I thought it was a handball. I thought, by the letter of the rule, I know that it's very convenient, and we do it a lot too. We've said Juventus instead of Juventus as some of the descriptions that we give. But in this case, they went back and reviewed it, and personally, I thought it was a handball. I thought they got it right. I thought they got it wrong the first time live on the pitch, and when I heard it was going to VAR, or when they said it was going to VAR, my thoughts were, okay, penalty. They're going to get this right.
Yeah, I actually, when I saw it live, I thought it was a good penalty. When I saw the replay, I completely went a 180, and I thought it was a bullshit call because I thought Conti's arm was on his side and it hit him. If anything, it's a double yellow or double handball because it hit Ronaldo's hand as well. They didn't call that. I guess we're not going to call that, whatever. So I was pissed off that happened, but I guess if you're a Milan fan, there was good karma, I guess, from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an issue where it's out enough, maybe. I mean, when you're looking at it, I mean, I think if anybody watched the Verdi Bremen Bayern Munich game, today there was an incident towards the end, and I want to say it was it Alaba? Had his arm, but he had his arm like tucked in on his chest, and the ball hit there. That's different. That's not going to get called as a handball if you're fully in. Right. And the referee's interpretation is that Conti's arm just out enough, for that to be a handball. Right. I thought the yellow on him was harsh, but nonetheless, but the penalty is saved by Donnarumma, and he keeps him in it, and you're feeling good if you're a Milan supporter and say maybe, just maybe, but it only takes seconds after that.
My goodness.
And Ante Rebic was apparently doing a lot of Taibo or trying to bring it back during the quarantine because he went flying into Danilo, straight red. I got no issue with that one.
Yeah, he pulled a straight up Alexander Nubel and did a high flying kick right to the face or whatever it was. It's a red.
Nobody knows who that is.
I do. That's the only thing that matters.
Because you're a Schalkeaholic.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a red. I had no complaints about that. It was a stupid play. To the face, whether he hit him in the face or not, it was dangerous. We've seen it every time we've seen it has been a red card. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
it sucks, but I'm fine with that call.
Yeah, so sends Milan down to 10 men. Interestingly enough, Pioli just goes ahead and keeps the same 10 players out there, just kind of shifts things around a little bit. But you know what to expect after that. It's a possession monopoly on for Juventus going forward. Milan's got to now take their chances with counterattacks. Hopefully they can sneak some sort of set piece. And that's really how, the rest of the first half went. Not a whole lot of incident, beyond that. Milan just getting one shot in that first half. Juve obviously peppering the Milan goal. Donnarumma coming through with some saves. But what I took, and I think would be a recurring theme from Milan's perspective was the you mentioned him earlier, the presence and appearance from Simon Kjaer. And I think, how underestimated it was, his presence, his leadership, and what he brings to that back four. Yeah. A calm and experience, and to your point, maybe not of pace, but of positioning, definitely positioning. Yeah. And really helping to have that all organized and have that back four composed and giving Milan some kind of a chance to try to get something out of this game. And going into halftime 0-0, I mean, you can make the case that Donnarumma was obviously excellent in goal. Yeah. But for me, I thought Simon Kjaer was the best player on the pitch, both teams.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree there. I thought Kjaer was excellent. There was a play, and I don't remember if it was the first half or second half, where it was a play that was passed over the top, and he's a very slow foot, but he just beat out the Juve player. I don't know if it was Dybala. I think it was Dybala. I could be wrong. But yeah, he was excellent all game long. Certainly man of the match, or one of. I'm gonna tip my hat off to Donnarumma. He made some big saves as well, but Kjaer was excellent, no doubt about it. And I think he really helped. He gave Milan a lot of confidence. Playing with 10 men is never easy, but they were very stout, and I was impressed with the performance. Honestly, when I saw they went down to 10 men, I was very worried, even more worried than I was initially. But Kjaer, I think, was a big reason, him and Donnarumma, why they made it out, even in this game.
And we get into the second half, and Milan started to generate a few more chances. Rocco saying, folks, Milan played a great match, considered that they had 3 starters missing, just came back, played down a man for 75 minutes. Hats off to the team who got eliminated by mine. Absolutely. I mean, I think we're talking about how Milan stood up to the pressure that Juventus put them under, and they didn't do enough going forward to deserve a goal. In my opinion. So I'm not sitting here saying that Milan should have won this match. I think 0-0 is perfectly fair. And I think it's also because on the other side, if I'm worried about, and this might be the first game back in 3 months, but I had a problem with this with Maurizio Sarri's Juventus before the break. I'm worried about a possible, and Rocco might chime in on this, and that's fine, a lack of a killer instinct here from this Juventus team. I mean, maybe there isn't the urgency, and they said, hey, we're a man up, well, let's skate through this. 0-0 is fine, because on aggregate, we'll go through. This is a challenging one for me, because we've seen this attack struggle a few times now, and we saw them struggle a few times. They struggled at Lyon, a team that can ship some goals, against the right team. In the first leg of the Champions League. And there are times where, they're getting weird, really. And you look at it on paper and you say, well, Douglas Costa should roast Davide Calabria. Calabria played great. Yeah, he did. A very good game. And Rocco, absolutely. I mean, Juventus were excellent in the first 30 minutes, but after that, it fizzled out. And I don't know if there was this, can we killing the game off? Sure. I mean, that's where I'm worried. I don't see I see it if you want to say it's for 30 minutes, fine. But if you're going to take steps toward being a European champion, if you're going to take steps toward being the best in the world, I mean, that's an advantage where you got to eat. I mean, you put some other teams, and I want to just speak on this on a European level, and we, because mainly we've been exposed to Bundesliga. You let that be Bayern Munich. Bayern's scoring 5 before the 60-minute mark. Yeah. Okay. And and could score 10 if they want to, but then they'll just skate for the last 30 minutes. I mean, talk about this. Is it the selection? Is it maybe not that there was an actual striker for Juventus that could probably hold things and that could probably do some better positioning, a guy who can score like a Gonzalo Higuain? I'm really confused with the quality that Juventus have, that they can't score on a 10-man team of like Milan that are, that had 75 minutes with a man advantage and just and a less than full strength, less than optimal Milan at that.
Yeah, I think Juventus they do have players with killer instincts who can finish the game off. I mean, they probably got the best one in the world with Ronaldo, right? He smells blood and he goes for it. He's a king shark there. But I think, it's a culmination of things. You're talking about how maybe Sarri's relying too much on the Allegri type style, and especially towards the end of the season where he's just trying to get results. I saw that. I noticed that before the break. And the one thing that's been clear with all the soccer that's been back, all the football that's been back since the hiatus, is teams, whoever they perform before the break, are performing exactly the same way. So if you're worried before the break that their killer instinct wasn't there, it's still going to be there. It's still not going to be there. And so that culminated with Milan played very well. Oftentimes when teams go down to 10 men, they either play very, very well or they just shit the bed. Milan played very well. They were very disciplined. They played very compact, made it very difficult for Juventus. Now Juventus had plenty of opportunities, and as Rocco mentioned, they kept shooting it at Donnarumma. Donnarumma still had to make the saves, but they kept shooting at him. And if you're playing a team like Napoli who can put it away, it's going to be very troublesome for Juventus. And it's going to be an interesting matchup because we'll get to that later. The actual big matchup later, but Juventus needs to kill teams off, like you said. Whether it's in Europe, Coppa Italia, Serie A here. There's going to be some big games going down the stretch here, and they're only, a point up on Lazio. They can't afford to get draws. They need to get some wins here because, Lazio, they were in fine form before the break. They're going to be in fine form coming out. So, that part has me worried. I know they have the killers on their team. It's got to be, I guess, the manager, or I don't know what's going on, why they're not finishing these games off or not. You got to give them some credit that, or benefit of the doubt that, they've been off for 2 months. Okay. But still, they didn't look that convincing being up one man up for 75 minutes.
And I thought the substitutions, and I get that, we were dealing with players who are not fully game fit at this point. I thought the substitutions weakened Juventus. I even made that point after they happened. I think it was, I think our friend Michael Lisi said something on Twitter about how look at what they can go to and can take off the bench and bring into the game. And I said to him, I look at these substitutions and I don't think they're stronger with these guys coming in. I think that these are substitutions that are being made out of fitness. And Sada even said after the game that he should have rethunk how he substituted his players. So you got a Sami Khedira who can get overrun very, very easily unless you put a couple of guys around him to help him. You've got Adrian Rabiot, who has been inconsistent. You've got a Federico Bernardeschi, who probably might be far better playing for Italy than he is playing for this Juve team. And Cuadrado didn't get enough of an appearance here, to prove himself and to get an opportunity. If you really were going to go seeking goals and things like that, I'm not an expert at this kind of stuff, but Juan Cuadrado is coming into this game a lot sooner than the 86th minute because I don't think Danilo did much. Yeah. And I think that it was maybe a little bit premature taking out Douglas Costa. But then again, we got to evaluate where are these guys at fitness-wise and what can they give in the 70th and 80th minute at this stage after coming back. So, in a normal environment with a preseason and with training and all this other stuff and with a series of games, I don't think these substitutions even get made.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I agree 100% with you that Cuadrado needs to come in much earlier in the game. He is that kind of impact player. If Costa was fit enough, if it had been regular season, none of this, coronavirus stuff, then, he'd be in for most of the game. But you got to have Cuadrado in the game earlier. That guy is really good. He's an X factor. And when he's on, and you need to get him out there just to get the opportunity, see if he is on, to give your team that chance to get scoring the goals, whether it's a goal or assist. So, that was odd to me. The fitness levels of these guys are not going to be that great. And they're going to be using a lot of these substitutions as much as they can. So That was odd. It was odd for the late one with Cuadrado, but I can't read Sarri's minds. Never could, and probably never will. So,
right. I mean, in the end, I think we saw the resourceful game management of Juve much, come through, because 0-0 suits them. 0-0 puts them in the final.
Yep.
And maybe that's just who they still are, even with a manager like Sarri at the helm. And we've been talking about this all season long, wondering when Sarri ball is finally going to take effect with Juve. And you hear a lot of people, a lot of the English-speaking Calcio heads throughout the first half of this season saying that it seems like Sarri's adjusting more to Juve than Juve is adjusting to Sarri. Yeah. And it looks like that's the mentality and that's the approach that's going to prevail. We may not see the free-flowing stuff that he had at Napoli with this Juventus team, for as long as he's there. And they just probably looked at it and say, hey, if we just stay organized, if we don't give away anything easy, Milan's not scoring. I mean, their biggest threat was going to be Rebic, and he got sent off after 16 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where it could have been a management issue, and just say, hey, we can 0-0 this and be more than happy with it. It gets us into the final. That's the other aspect that I think you have to take a look at. So, Rafael Leao, was that too early to bring him on for Jack, or were you okay with that substitution?
I'm okay with that. I mean, Jack, I thought did very well in the beginning, but when you're down 10 men, your guy's gonna be running a lot, and whether they're gonna tell you or not, it's probably best to save his legs for the rest of the season. And I think it was a good call. I think it was a good call with that. I think moments before he came out, he had a good cross, I think, in far post, but take him out. I mean, keep it fresh.
Sure. Best player for me still Simon Kjaer. How about you?
Yeah, Donnarumma just slightly over Kjaer, but both of them are excellent in this game, I thought.
Excellent. So 0-0, Juventus goes to the final. Richard, let's talk about who they'll meet.
Yeah, so the other semifinal, it had a very interesting matchup. Napoli, who won the first leg at San Siro. They were hosting this time Inter, and the referee in this one will be Gianluca Rocchi. So the obviously no fans in the crowd in this one. The lineups for this one, David Ospina in goal, and in defense you had Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Nikola Maksimovic, Kalidou Koulibaly, and Elsai Husai. Midfield you had Elif Elmas, Diego Deme, Peter Zalewski, and up top you had Politano, Mertens, and Insigne. Other than Politano, I wasn't too surprised with the lineup. I was fairly comfortable with it. I figured Ospina would get the nod with the experience that he has over Meret and anybody else that they would have. So I was comfortable with that lineup. I thought it was a good, strong lineup by Napoli. And obviously they were one of the hotter teams going into this hiatus. And I fully expected them to pick up where they left off. That was going to be the big question mark. Could these teams who were hot remain hot? And I thought it was a very strong lineup by Napoli.
I like it. And here's the thing, and this was a game that certainly the possession was bossed by Inter. But when you look at a front three like Politano, Mertens, and Insigne, and you leave out a Arkadiusz Milik, who did come on late in the game, that can be effective against the back three. Hi, Michael Lisi. That can be effective against the back three because – if you're going to soak and strike, I mean, the traditional thing is you find a striker, a nine, a guy like Milik who you play out of the back to, you find his feet, and he has to absorb the punishment. He's making specific runs that a back three, there's three guys that can see him and can pass him off. Now you've got Mertens who can run all over the place. You've got Ospina who can run all over the place. You've got Politano who can run all over the place. And I get that maybe they don't necessarily switch positions a lot, but they're all dynamic. They're all interchangeable. And I think that three-man combination puts some pressure on the back three for Inter. The other thing that was noteworthy here, I think it was nice to see that Di Lorenzo could go back to his natural position of right back.
Yeah.
And then having Maksimovic partnering with Kalidou Koulibaly, having those guys back, I think that was so important. And I think that it gave Napoli a little bit more of a backbone than what they've had. In essence, Gattuso finally has his full complement of players now that everybody's fit.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised by that. I like the lineup. I thought, with the insertion of Politano, that there was a little bit maybe a motivational factor in there, and that decision to put him in the game. But also, you look at the Inter back line, and they're not the fastest guys, and putting three smaller guys, really, like you said, just move them around, confuse that back line. It's going to do wonders for Napoli, and we saw that to good effect. And since we're talking about Inter at the moment, look at their lineups in this one. Obviously, Samir Handanovic is going to be in goal, as he was. You had a back line of Milan Skriniar, Stefan De Vrij, Alessandro Bastoni, and Antonio Candreva, and then the midfield of Barella, Brozovic, Ashley Young, and Eriksson. And up top, obviously, the fantastic duo of Lukaku and Martinez. That lineup was fairly standard again for me. Obviously, it's a curious decision for me, just seeing Bastoni back there, but a good, strong lineup. You knew Eriksson was he started playing really well, just before he got to the hiatus, and so I wasn't surprised to see him there. If I'm surprised by anyone in that midfield, it's Barella, but because he's not had the most consistent of seasons, but it's a pretty standard lineup for Inter for me.
I think they believe in Barella, and they wanted to make it so with him.
Yeah.
They might believe more in Stefano Sensi, but they're going to treat him with kid gloves after coming back from a lengthy injury, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
It was a back Bastoni's De Vrij, Skriniar. That was a back three, and Bastoni getting the start. Godin wasn't available, so that's why Bastoni's inserted into that spot. And then you have Candreva and Young there in the wing back roles who can provide crosses and who can provide service to that front two. And then if you don't have them providing service, you've got Eriksson playing people in, and let's not forget Brozovic is a pretty good passer from his position as well.
Yeah, a little bit. I've heard of him.
Yep. So it's an aggressive lineup. It's one that knows they needed to go there to get a win. They needed to win by 2, or they needed to win by 1, scoring at least 2 goals to get this and go through. So they were going to be on the front foot from the start, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so they earned themselves a corner kick. Within the first second minute of the game, and so the corner will go to Eriksson, as you would expect, one of the free kick specialists on the team. Kicks it, and it goes directly into the goal. I thought it was poor. A lot of people are probably going to give Ospina the hammer, saying it was his error, but I thought it was the 2 defenders being stupid and letting the ball go to Ospina. If you got the chance, clear it as a defender. 2 guys there, and I forget who the 2 guys were. They let the ball go past them. Ospina wasn't prepared for it, and the ball went between his legs and in the net. So just like that, a perfect start for Inter. 1-0 off the bat, off the corner, no less, straight in and off the corner. So what were your thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, you nailed it. Defenders are going to hear a goalkeeper, but if a goalkeeper and I don't know if Ospina called for it or not. It just might have been a miscommunication here between the defender and Ospina.
Maybe they thought it was going wide. Who knows?
Right. And there's no way it was going wide based on where that ball was going.
Yeah.
But there's times where the defender just has to work at his instincts and say, okay, when in doubt, ignore the keeper and just blast it out of there. And that's what should have happened. There is a really ugly goal for Napoli to give up to allow Inter back into the tie. And it set the tone. It gave Inter a lot of momentum, once that goal got scored. Just looks like some confusion. It surprises me because, I watched a fair amount of Bundesliga, here because we've had nothing else to watch. And, I look at them and I feel like that there should be more set piece goals than there's been. There's been a fair amount, but you'd think there'd be a little bit more, because I think if there's one thing, if you haven't had week-to-week game action, I think one area where you're going to struggle is lack of communication in those defensive set piece situations where you lose markers, you lose things like that, and you concede goals. I think that there's been, there's been some set piece goals for, in Bundesliga. I thought I would see more. And I thought that maybe set piece goals for some of these leagues going back are going to be the way goals get scored, because you're trying to get that sorted out and you're trying to get that game to game situation. So in this case, real miscommunication. Mr. Bob Lex blames Ospina.
He's Arsenal man, and he's probably seen enough of Ospina, and I can kind of see his point here because as a goaltender, like you said, usually they're going to yell at the guys, but Ospina was probably too far in net for that play. Maybe he should have been more aggressive on that. And he's probably seen a lot of Ospina where this is probably a common thing with him too. But I'm still going to lean towards the defenders clearing that ball out. I mean, if I'm a goalie, I've never been one, but I would think, you're going to yell at the defender, clear it. I'd rather him clear it than it goes to me and, take that chance. So
sure.
Tough call.
Sure. And we got, let's see, we got Jerry Mancini's in the house. Hey, Jerry. Michael Lisi, yes. Unless that keeper is screaming for it as the defender, you have to send it to Mars. My sentiments exactly. Rocco saying, let me sum up the Rocco, we're doing the pod. We'll do the highlights. Okay. We'll get there. Okay. I know this is hard for you to not talk. We're not talking about Juventus now. Okay. Let us get through it. But no, we appreciate it. And Eriksson and Ospina were both very heavily involved in both goals. So, it set the tone, and Inter got off to a dream start there.
No, it certainly was, and you wondered how Napoli were going to recover from that. Napoli needed a goal at this point. At this point, it was a draw. Both teams with an away goal, but you knew Napoli weren't going to be content with leaving the score as it was. They're always going to be looking for a goal. Inter kept having their opportunities. As you mentioned, they had their share of the possession. But the man Ospina, again, gets involved, this time of a goal for his team. Off a save, he, with the heads-up play, a bullet pass over the top to Lorenzo Insigne on the left-hand side. Two guys coming towards him. He smartly plays it over, lays it across perfectly for Dries Mertens, who puts it away past Handanovic. A wonderful goal there. Again, Eriksson and Ospina involved in that goal, but I thought this time, Ospina, who had a lot of great saves prior to this, a great heads-up play to lead the pass, and honestly, he should get like a hockey secondary assist or something, because that was a beautiful play to lead Lorenzo Insigne, and then Mertens, obviously, pouncing as he did and becoming the all-time leading scorer for Napoli or whatever. So wonderful play by Napoli, typical Napoli goal. Leveled it up 1-1 just before halftime, and I thought at that point Napoli were sitting pretty, especially the way they've been playing defensively. What were your thoughts once that goal went in?
Inter got caught high, and had to scramble, and you don't have the ideal guys back there to deal with that situation. I thought it was like Eriksson and Ashley Young, I think, were back there. If I saw it correctly.
Sorry, Bob just called him. He thought he was a vampire
because he hates crosses. That's good. I haven't heard that one before.
I haven't either.
Well played.
Yeah.
And then Rocco said he's sorry for getting ahead of us. He's having too many vodka gimlets today.
Oh yeah, here we go.
That or Jaeger bombs, either one. So, although you got to, if it's Rocco, it's not the Red Bull. It's whatever is like the sugar substitute power drink that he can mix with the Jaeger. Yeah. So, so you got this, and now, and it's a dynamic situation, and it's opportunistic for Mertens, because Insigne's 1v1. There's two Inter defenders back there, but that second defender has to go and support the first defender. He has no choice, because Insigne against one defender to beat, you know what he's going to do every time. Yeah. So you want to avoid that, and that opened up playing it across for Mertens to finish. So it was a great counterattacking goal. It was great foresight by Ospina to see that and play it quick.
Terrible defending.
Yeah, and it was Inter got caught high. They had to react.
Ball watching.
And then at the same time, the recovery runs. Where was everybody?
Still in the box on the other end.
So, and scoring the goal, a guy who knows how to score goals in Italy. Amazing what happens when you play him. Because for the longest time, Napoli were leaving him out.
Didn't he sign an extension over the break?
What's that?
Didn't he sign an extension with Napoli?
He did.
So there you go.
Amid rumors that he was going to go to Inter.
Yeah.
Among other places. So, yep. And Rocco, there you go. Zevia instead of Red Bull, of course. So, but anyway, so classic counterattack, very well spotted by Napoli, very well finished. And then it was a classy finish there by Dries Mertens, 1-1 advantage Napoli, but that doesn't terribly hurt Inter too much.
No,
because they still have to score a second goal, regardless of whether that's the one thing that interests me with this mentality when everybody's trying to, figure out all of the algorithms that go with aggregate scoring. Well, if you go into a game knowing you've got to score 2 goals, okay, you're as an away team, and the other team gets one, that really shouldn't make you shit yourself.
Nope.
You still have a response. You still got to.
You already have a goal, so it's one more goal.
Yeah, maybe you win 1-0 in 90 minutes, and then it's going to extra time. Thank you, Michael. It was ScreenYard.
Yes.
So it's, no way that it's you rely on that, but that's a very risky thing to rely on. So and that's how Inter set themselves up. They set themselves up to try to score twice, and to try to keep Napoli out. So and they got caught, and this is not something that should change the way Inter approached this game, and it really didn't.
And it didn't. No, Inter continued to be the aggressor in this game, and we talked about the error that Ospina, made in the first goal, but I think he made up for it for the rest of the game. I mean, brilliant save after brilliant save all game long. Some shots, were maybe towards him, but he made some a wonderful save on Candreva, short side. Had some nice he got down real quick and saved the ball a couple times. Made some good shot on Eriksson. He blocked. I mean, he had a fantastic game. I thought he was man of the weekend for me. Really, he was the reason why Inter didn't score again. I thought Inter did enough where they should have scored against Ospina on a normal day, but Ospina was up for it in this one. Experience paid off for Napoli. Napoli did what they had to do. They were bending but not breaking. And when the times that they looked like they're about to break, Ospina saved them. And that was really well done. It's very, I guess, emblematic of what they've been doing lately, especially against the bigger clubs. So a 1-1 draw is how it ended. Napoli move on into the final, and you called it last weekend, during our telecast that you thought Napoli was going to go on to the final. You thought they're going to win it, I think you said. So not too surprising there. Now we got Sarri against his old club, Juventus against Napoli in the final.
Yep. I did my victory lap after Napoli advanced. So longest lap ever recorded, or longest lap I've ever run. I got this knee, so I can't even run anymore.
I think.
So, what's that?
I think you got two of them.
Oh, I got two. I got one that's bad though, so I can't run. I can't even run right now. So, but it was a very interesting approach from both teams. Inter set out to attack. They know they needed the goals. And I think on another day, Inter are in the final with the chances that they created. I mean, Ospina was forced into some brilliant saves. I mean, he kept out Lukaku early in the first half. That almost made it 2-0 to Inter. And then there was the one from Eriksson in the second half, that Ospina got a glove to. I mean, he was dynamic in this game. He went from GOAT, not in a good way, on the first goal, if depending on how you look at it. I still think the defenders have to clear that, to probably being the man of the match in this game, to making the key saves, and then also setting the counterattack for Napoli to get the tying goal.
Absolutely. And now we're going to be talking about a final. So I brought out the bubbly. Sorry, the dad jokes here. Espino, I think.
What is that? What are you drinking?
Bubbly. It's a water, sparkling water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
what's special about it? Is it just?
It's a sparkling water. That's all.
Okay.
That's all it is. Got bubbles. I thought Espino did really well in the game. He was fantastic, I thought, with the saves, and then obviously leading the counterattack. He came up big. That's what Napoli needed. That's why they started him in the game. And he was man of the weekend for me, not just in this game, but overall the weekend. I thought he was the best player. Error in the beginning, notwithstanding, I thought he was brilliant. Big saves. That Candreva save was not easy. The save on Eriksson towards the end of the game was not easy. But he came up big, and Napoli are now going to the final against Juventus, which is going to be a very intriguing matchup, I think, considering the way, but the momentum that both teams are currently in, the style of play, the drama of Sarri, used to be with Napoli, and a lot of storylines in this. It wouldn't be a Coppa Italia final, an Italian final without some drama in there, right? So,
you're right. I'm just getting over to my game page here on this.
They are.
So mine's not showing possible lineups, but I guess I've got kind of a handle on what I think they're going to come out with. You've got Sarri playing against Juve to try to get his first trophy with Juve, going against Napoli. I'm sorry. in an effort to get his first trophy as Juve manager.
Yeah.
So you've got that dynamic. You've got Higuain possibly playing a role in this thing tomorrow. So former Napoli man, and he's come back to haunt them in past games. And you've got on the Napoli side, you've got a team that has looked at this Juve team and said, "Look, we can beat them," and they did. They beat them at the San Paolo earlier in the year, 2-1, so they're going to have the belief that they can go there and win. So no sugar and bubbly. Of course, you're going to like it, Rocco.
For sugar, that's right.
Right. So, you take a look at what we have here, and you have, it's going to come down to the midfield, I think.
Yeah. Between
these two teams, can Juventus boss things? And because I expect that they will, as I expect that Napoli are going to try to absorb things.
Yep.
I'm looking at who Napoli is managed by. They're managed by Rino Gattuso, and every time that he got into a big game, and Nima Tavali and I had this conversation.
He ruined the derby. He ruined the derby.
Yeah, when we reviewed one of the derbies, and he said Gattuso ruins the derby because he has his team set up playing so tight. Yeah. And Nima's with us right now. I honestly think this game is way closer than most think. It's the equivalent of a final being played at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yep.
But Nima, I also think that because I think Gattuso is going to tighten this up. I think that you're going to see Deme out there. You're going to see a midfield that's going to be in place to try to keep out any balls going into the front three of Juve. Whether they go back to Douglas Costa, Paulo Dybala, Cristiano Ronaldo, or whether they go, with Higuain somewhere in there as a striker. So I think that that's going to be the key. How that midfield for Napoli performs. Having Koulibaly back there is a big help for the Partenope. Yes. To help have things organized and diffuse things. Defend deep, attack on the counter. Absolutely. I think that Gattuso should try to set up the same way. I think
he's got the little ones to do that. He has the speedsters, enough speed on that attack with those three guys to cause problems for sure.
I think that the mobility of those three guys are going to make it hard for Bonucci and De Ligt.
Yeah.
More so
Bonucci, I think.
I think if you play Milik from the start, it's going to be a mistake because now if you're going to counter out to a guy that those two guys can see. Yeah. And they know where he's going to go to get the ball, and they can just close him down and they can diffuse anything. And it's going to be awfully hard. And now you're looking at a lot of up, back, and through stuff from Napoli instead of maybe something a little bit more dynamic where you can get little half turns and play people through, and then runners can cross each other and things like that in that front three. So I'm looking at, and I think that I'm on the team of, can Davide Ospina have another game like that? That's going to be the other X factor here.
Yeah. Which Ospina shows up.
I mean, if that Ospina shows up, Napoli wins this. Or
if Juventus shoot the way they shot against Milan, Napoli's going to win this.
Napoli definitely win this. And that's the other thing is, are the chances that Juve create are they going to be better than what they did against Milan? That's the one thing you got to look at. Secondly, if they are, can Ospina perform that way again? Can he do that 2 games in a row? Bob Lax, our friend over there in the chat, knows more than anybody as an Arsenal supporter. But can you count on Ospina doing that 2 times in a row? And that's going to be an interesting dynamic. All right. The midfield. Can they keep passes from getting through to the Juventus front three? You're going to have Deme in there. If it's Elmas, I'm not sure if Lobotka's in the mix. Ruiz.
I'm going to give the advantage to Napoli in the midfield. I think younger, slightly, but they're younger. If you're going to have, especially going to have Kadir in there or Rabiot, it's going to be. I don't know if those guys will start.
I think you're going to see the same 3-man midfield for Juve. It's going to be Bentancur, Pjanic, Matuidi.
Yeah.
Out of those, Matuidi probably will have some license to go a little bit. We've seen him make runs in the box. Pjanic can be a little bit more deep lying.
And Bentancur.
And Bentancur Bentancur has been one of Juventus's most improved players this season. He was pretty good here against Milan too.
Yeah.
So, but then I look at the other side. If Zielinski, can he have the freedom in this game that he's accustomed to having from his position in a 3-man midfield for Napoli? That's going to be an interesting question. Deme, Ruiz. It's going to, I think it's going to come down to that. Can Juventus create better chances, and can Ospina come through and be a goalkeeper like he was in this game against Inter? Because, like I said, Ospina doesn't perform like that. We're talking about Inter in this final.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I am going to, and boy, this is a hard prediction for me to make, but I was not impressed with Juventus, and I got to go with what I see, even albeit a small sample size. I was not impressed with how Juventus handled themselves with the man advantage. I get that 0-0 was enough for them, and that's maybe what they were going for.
Right. But
I've seen this in 11v11. I've seen it at Lyon. I've seen it in other games. So, I'm not tempted. I'm not of the belief that it's going to change. I think Napoli are going to win this Coppa Italia tomorrow.
It's going to be a one-goal victory by somebody.
It's going to be a one-goal victory. It's going to be an odd goal. It's going to come from somebody we didn't expect. So maybe a Zielinski.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would lean towards him.
Maybe Koulibaly on a corner kick. That's happened before.
It's happened before at Juve.
So I think that's what's going to be. And Michael's making a great comment about Bentancur needing to sit deep and keep De Ligt and Bonucci from having to deal with speedy runners.
Yep.
Start Quadrado to deal with Insigne's speed. I think that's going to happen too. So Rocco thinks it'll go to penalties. That's not unreasonable. But I think that if they don't start Milik, if they go with the same front three they did, I think that that's really dynamic, and I think that that's going to create a lot of problems for De Ligt and Bonucci. And I think they're gonna generate something out of that. I'm gonna go narrowly for Napoli here. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win for Napoli.
Okay. And before I make my pick, I think if it does go to penalties, as Rocco is saying, I feel like, and I could be wrong, and Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ospina actually does pretty well against penalties. Buffon, he probably is pretty good, and Chesney as well. But I feel like Ospina is really good for some reason. Maybe I'm just thinking about somebody else, but. Regardless, it's gonna be a difficult game. It's gonna be a close game, no doubt about it. I mean, as Nima said, and as you're saying, Gattuso's gonna play compact. It's gonna be very tight. Both teams are gonna have their opportunities. Obviously, Napoli with the counter with their smalls, and through Dybala and Ronaldo and the rest of the team. Juve are gonna have their opportunities as well. As I said before, I think the slight advantage in the midfield will go to Napoli. It's very close. Both teams are very good. I think the two defenses are pretty much a wash. I mean, because you got Koulibaly, who's the best defender in the game. Maximovic is okay. De Ligt is okay. Bonucci's okay, but those two are probably better than Maximovic. So then you got the wing backs who are probably an advantage for Juventus. It's a tough game. And this, if it's a classic final or a type of final that we're all expecting, the one like Nima said, it's got to be a slight advantage to Napoli. I'm going to have to go with you based on the current form, how Juventus was prior to the break, how they came out. Don't have that killer instinct, as you mentioned. They're having their opportunities against Milan, but most of them were at the goalkeeper. And if they do that, they're not going to succeed against Napoli. Napoli are going to be they're predators, especially on the counter with the two guys. Especially we saw what Insigne and Mertens did. I think Zielinski is going to be the one who's going to get that freedom that he needs. He's come up so big for Gattuso this season, especially when they gave him the freedom. Don't be surprised if he lets out a long-range bomb come out of the box, getting a pass from Mertens or Insigne or Politano. And one goal is going to win it. And I think Napoli is going to win this, which would be an amazing thing for Napoli considering how the season began. And then they've been one of the hottest teams in the league just before the break, and I think it's going to continue. Gattuso's got them right where they need them.
I just had a thought, and let's devil's advocate this. I mean, we're both on the side that we both. I mean, yeah, and we're picking Napoli.
I know.
All right.
Sorry, Rocco.
Juventus just had Juventus just had 75 to 90 minutes of an opponent that defended deep, took their chances on counters. Now, the issue here is that this is a Milan that doesn't have the quality going forward that Napoli's going to have.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at this. Napoli center backs, Koulibaly is the best center back out of what Napoli and Milan have to offer, and you've got Maksimovic partnering with him. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. You
could argue that the fullbacks on Napoli are better, especially on the right-hand side, Di Lorenzo. I would rate him over Conti. Husai and Calabria are, on a normal day, they're equal at best. I mean, we've had Napoli fans complain up and down about Husai. We've had Milan fans complain up and down about Calabria. So you take a look at that back four. You take a look at the goalkeeping. You take a look at how the midfield's going to be situated. Midfield's going to be situated. Are we underestimating the likelihood that Juventus has seen what they've done here against Milan, and with their experience can figure out how to make the adjustments to unlock what Napoli is going to throw at them?
Yeah, I think we are underestimating it, and I think you'd be stupid not to think that Juve had this in their pocket. I mean, that they have the ability. They certainly have the ability. They've shown no reason for us to pick against them over the last 9 seasons or whatever it is now, 8 seasons. So yeah, Juventus are more than capable. You know, they've had how many years under Allegri? They know what to do. I mean, Sarri's just going to add a little bit here and there, tweaking things, but they know what to do. And I think they're more than capable of pulling out a victory in this one. I think you and I just both feel that, based on how currently they're both playing, how they were playing before, that, this is a slight advantage for Napoli, but Juventus are more than capable of winning this game. They're more than capable of winning 3-0.
Well, sure. Sure. I mean, they have the pedigree.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. They have the pedigree. Chat. Questions. Fire away with any questions. Ask us about Serie A. Ask us about games coming up. Ask us anything.
Rocco says he's taking screenshots of everything we say so he can laugh at us after the game.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. It'll be one of the rare times that I'm wrong if Juve wins tomorrow. So, humble brag aside. Chat, fire away with questions. Fire away with questions on Serie A, questions about anything. We can have some fun with it. So that is the preview, our preview of the Coppa Italia final. Juve and Napoli. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tense. We both are thinking it's a narrow win for Napoli and on some sort of odd goal. But we're probably walking on glass here, picking against a team that has been there and done that in Juventus. So we'll see what happens. But after Wednesday, we have, starting Saturday the 20th, we have 5 consecutive days of Calcio.
Thank you.
So everybody just hook it to your veins. All right.
Oh, I love it.
It's going to be lovely. It's going to be beautiful. And we actually start off on Saturday, Richard, with 2 decent games. When you look at it, Torino is going to play Parma, and you've got Hellas Verona playing against Cagliari. Realistically, we're flying blind. We don't know what these teams are going to have to offer. We don't know what they're going to look like. We don't know what their fitness levels are going to be like. I think all we can really do is go off the sample that we've had for previous games. And we're looking at a Torino here that's on 27 points and in 15th place and flirting with disaster right now. So they desperately need these 3 points. A Parma team on 35 points that, have a lot of promising talent in their team. And then the other game, Hellas Verona against Cagliari. Hellas Verona under Ivan Juric has had a specific way that they play, a specific way they've gone about their business.
Dentist chair.
Yes. Cagliari has been that team that we thought would be the darling of the season with some of the moves they made and some of the players they brought in. And all of a sudden you look and they're 12th. It's not necessarily gone to plan for them. Verona sitting there in 8th and pushing for a Europa League place, against all odds. They've got some very, very talented players up front. They've got a great player in back in Kumbula. Quick brief about the games on Saturday. What are you looking forward to?
It's going to be fun. I think a Torino-Parma game is going to be a little more open than the second game for sure. I look for Parma to maybe take advantage. The only thing I do know about this hiatus is that almost in every case in the Bundesliga, in terms of the teams and the forms that they were in prior to the break and then coming out of it, they've almost all been the same form going in as they were coming out as they were going in. So if we go off of that, which you really can't. Because every team is different, every league is different, all this stuff. If you go by that, teams should be somewhat true to form as they were going into this break. You got to give the advantage to Parma in this one. Torino are playing horrid going down up to that break, and you expect this game to be open. Obviously, they got some really good players over there, but I like the defense of Parma a little bit better than Torino, which is hard to say because I thought, especially last season and going to this season, they had one of the better defenses in the league, at least, from a core standpoint, but they have not performed at all like we expected. It's been a rough go for them, and it's gonna be, I think, some goals in this game. I think like a 2-1, maybe 3-2 game for Parma. I think I like them in this game with their speedsters.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think I like that as well. We'll have to see if Torino has come back to some semblance of fitness and having their players back, because when they have that defense together, that's pretty solid. And with Sitdigu in goal,
don't expect defenses to be sharp, though. That is going to be the caveat.
Fair point. So did Hellas Verona change their logo?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, they may have. I mean,
I'm showing
like ages since.
It's crazy. I mean, that might have gotten overlooked in all of this. I'm seeing some sort of thing that, like, there's a ladder in the middle, and then like a two-headed lion facing opposite of each other of some sort. Are you seeing this?
I'm looking at, but I mean, maybe I just never noticed it before.
Yeah,
that's good.
That was an under the radar change. So
interesting. Okay,
is Belotti fit? We don't know.
Yeah, was he ever fit?
We don't know. we don't know. So we'll find out on Saturday.
There is some breaking news though. With the whole thing was, and if someone came down with COVID, would the whole team have to shut down? That's what they thought it was going to have to do. And I think today it broke that only the player would have to quarantine, not the whole team, which is good for Serie, because otherwise we'd lose the season if something were to happen. So that's a bit. Well,
that's just it. And that should have been the decision from the beginning, because you see what's going on right now in the Bundesliga and how they're managed it. That's their approach. Yeah, and they've been flawless.
Yep.
Now I get that Italy has been clearly has been way more of a hotspot for COVID than Germany has been, and they probably have to take a look at it, from a number of approaches, and can't just copycat what Germany's doing. But I think that's got to be the best intentions. The Bundesliga laid the groundwork for how you can do this for everybody else. Michael Lisi said, "Yeah, they did it. It's weird." I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's not worse than that, Jay, but it's rough.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, coming back to it, the thing that is kind of, in the years that we have done Serie Sit Down, the one thing that I could always count on is Cagliari being a poor away team.
Yes.
They'll once in a while pop up and be good. I think there was a year where Barella beat Atalanta on a free kick in Bergamo.
Yeah.
As one example. So there are times where they're going to pop up and surprise you, but by and large, they're a terrible away side, and they're going to come in and play against the Hellas Verona team that's going to frustrate them for 90 minutes. Hellas Verona is going to win this game.
Yeah, I think so. 1 or 2-0, I think.
Appointment television on Sunday the 21st. Atalanta and Sassuolo.
Oh my goodness!
Get out your abacus. There's going to be goals in this game.
Yeah.
You're talking about defense. It's not necessarily being sharp and organized. I mean, I think this is good. This has a chance to be like 6-3. If they're at the top of their game and if they're sharp, which we can't guarantee that. But this game could be screaming goals.
No, now that you said that, it's going to be 0-0 watch. It happens every time we do this, but this has all the makings of a high-scoring game. Obviously, the Zerbi's men have been playing really well. especially with that front three that they got, or front four, really, if you want, with the substitution. But yeah, they're gonna be hopefully high flying. I mean, considering what kind of form they are in, and Atalanta, I'm really curious to see how they're gonna look after the break. They're gonna be stringing some passes together, and fitness is obviously gonna be the question, but man, there are gonna be some goals. I hope there's some goals, man. It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of goals, and I'm excited for this one. I'm clearing the calendar for this.
Yeah. I'm. It's Father's Day, so I'm gonna get to watch this game because it's one day out of the year I get to be in charge around here. So all our dads in the chat probably are all feeling the same way too. I know you are, Richard.
Yeah, that's right. And Mr. Bob's saying 5-4 is gonna be the final of that game. It very well.
I got 6-3. So Inter and Sampdoria in that Sunday setup as well. Sampdoria under Claudio Ranieri climbed out of trouble. Still only a point clear of Lecce.
You're gonna play Inter now. That's not a good combination there.
Yep. So it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a grind.
So let me ask you this, and without even asking any of the Inter fans, it seems like Arturo's mind is somewhere else. It's at Barcelona now, or wherever he's being linked with. Are you gonna start him? Would you start him? I mean, he's obviously you're one of your best options with him and Lukaku. They form a great team, but is his mind right to play him? That's an interesting question.
I actually thought Alexis Sanchez was pretty good when he got in there.
I did too. This is it's probably one of his better games with an Inter shirt on, maybe outside of the first game. So
Conte's getting something out of him, and
he does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, if you can make Aida believable for the Italian national team,
yeah,
that might be Antonio Conte's ultimate achievement.
Yeah.
That he could get to Italy. He could get Italy in the Euro 2016 to the last 8 with fucking Aida in the lineup. And Graziano Pelle as a striker. I know you've got a soft spot for him because he played for Southampton.
He was doing well then.
Yeah.
Then at one time.
Aida, drink. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I fully expect Inter to win that game. Maybe even a 3-0 game. That game.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Ranieri's going to set them up to play to try to tighten it up, but I think it's going to backfire on them.
Yeah.
3 games Monday: Fiorentina, Brescia, Lecce, Milan, Bologna, Juve. All these games can be intriguing for a lot of different reasons. I think Brescia, we want to kind of see where Sandro Tonali's at after all of this. And how he's adapted. Obviously, he's a guy that is on the radar and probably going to Inter. As much as we have objected to that being his move.
Yeah.
So you've got Lecce, Milan. How does Milan bounce back after going out of the Coppa? Had a very difficult environment to get a result. Does the Rebic red card carry over to the Liga? I think it does.
Good question. I thought it didn't, but hey, Michael Lisi, do you know? That's a good question. I don't know. Honestly, I hope it doesn't, because Milan are thin up top.
Let's see here.
Well, while you look that up, I think of the 3 games on Saturday, on Monday. I'm probably looking at Bologna Juventus. Honestly, I think is the game that I want to watch of those games. It's probably be the closest game, I think, because you don't underestimate Bologna. They're a good squad, some really good young players on the team. Obviously, Juventus are really good, but I think Bologna will give them a little bit of a fight, make it a little bit tough for them, at least in the onset. Brescia, Fiorentina, we don't know what to expect with either of those clubs. Obviously, Brescia is struggling this season. Fiorentina has been underperforming as they have been for years now, it seems like. And Lecce is a tough place to play for Milan. It's gonna be a tough game, I think, from a neutral standpoint. I mean, if you want to see some goals, you're more likely to get some from the Bologna Juventus game, I think, than the other games. But I'm gonna watch all of them just because we haven't seen Calcio in so long. So
right, Rebic received a 1-match ban for the dismissal, but he won't have to sit that out until next season's Coppa Italia, as it is a different tournament entirely to Serie A. So Rebic will be available for the trip to Lecce.
That's a win for me.
That is for sure. And then Milan will not fine him. I don't know why that was a story.
Mr. Bob's calling an upset for Bologna over Juventus.
Hey.
It could happen.
Here's the Bologna just need. You're welcome, Sabrina. When you've got Orsolini, you've got Soriano.
Good youngsters, man.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank. Who's the third guy? It's been so long.
It's been so long.
Yeah. When you've got that three-man playmaking midfield that Bologna has to work with under Mihailovic, I mean, you need you need a guy that can poach goals. And Palacio, we talk about him maybe being right now the perfect guy out of what they have, but he can't play 90 minutes.
When he got inserted, he kind of looked like that missing piece that they needed in terms, at least from the attacking standpoint.
I think they're going to put them under some pressure. I think they're definitely going to put Juve under some pressure. This is going to be an interesting game.
Sansone was the other one you were thinking of.
Sansone, thank you. Gosh.
It's been so long.
If it had been Pellissier or Inglese, you would have cursed the day I was born. But anyway, it's. I think that I agree with everybody here. I think that Bologna is going to give Juve a game here. So we'll see, because this will be Juve. Let's not forget that this is going to be Juventus's third game in 10 days after coming back from COVID.
They're probably not going to be putting the full lineup there, I would think. Just trying to make sure the guys are staying healthy for the remainder of the season. Probably see some rotation in this. I don't know. That's my opinion, but what do I know? I don't know anything.
You know more than you give. Don't sell yourself short. Your wife tells you don't know anything, doesn't she?
Yeah, every day. No, I'm just kidding.
Same. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay to admit it. It's okay to discuss it. It's an open forum. Get your feelings out. All right. So the Tuesday fixtures: Verona and Napoli, Spal Cagliari, Genoa, Parma, and Torino Udinese. You got Verona getting a second game now in the space of 4 days. You got Napoli now after playing the Coppa Italia final. Third game in 10 days for them. That could be interesting. The Spal Cagliari game, Spal desperate right now.
Genoa desperate too.
Yeah. Genoa desperate against Parma. Some interesting relegation situation showing up there. The Torino Udinese game could be something as well, based on where everybody's situated at the table. So, so those are, the Verona-Napoli game could be a hangover game for Napoli, and Verona could win that. But then the rest of these are going to be very, very enthusiastic for looking at the bottom of the table and, seeing how that all shakes out.
My question with Cagliari, are they on vacation already? They got nothing to play for, really. I mean, they're not going to get relegated. I don't think they're. I think they're far enough away in tough spot. Even though the points are very close, I think they're fairly safe.
They just had a vacation.
They're going to still be on vacation.
One, but
Spal, I think, is going to be obviously fighting for stay up as best they can. Hellas and Napoli have a 0-0 or 1-1 written all over that. I think a little bit of a hangover, like you said, with Napoli and Verona's penchant to shut things up, keep it close. It's going to be tight in that game. I very well do think that. Torino Udinese, who knows? Udinese is playing a little bit better now. But both those teams have the opportunity to score lots of goals, I think, in that game. And Genoa Parma should be fun, because Genoa is obviously going to look for a result here to try to get out of get as far away from relegation zone as possible. So some interesting games in this one, I think. Sure.
Parma's still making a push for Europe too. So
yeah.
So all of those are going to be interesting. And then finally on the 24th, Inter Sampdoria, Atalanta Lazio. We finally talk about Lazio. How does Lazio pull off, and Roma and Sampdoria? What happened that they're not playing until? Is there something with the nature of the COVID that they're not playing until the 24th? Just that one's. Does anybody have any answers on that one? That's a weird one to me. That their team's playing 2 games before they play their first. I'm not complaining. I just would be interesting to have an answer to that. So, but Atalanta Lazio, giddy up on June 24th.
And that's such a big game for Lazio.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all going to be big games going down the stretch, because obviously it's them and Juventus going back and forth trying to get the title. But Lazio needs to show up in this game. It's a difficult game. Atalanta was so hot going to the break. They can score in bunches that we've seen all season long. I don't know who to pick in that game. That's going to be a barn. It could be a barn burner. It could be a stalemate. It's very unlikely it's going to be stalemate in that one. You're going to see goals, probably like a 3-3 in that game. But Lazio got to do everything they can to try to get 3 points in that game. It's going to be awfully difficult in Bergamo. Inter and Sassuolo. We know Sassuolo is a bogey team for Milan, but with Inter, it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people might give it. Conte is going to have the team ready for Sassuolo, but Sassuolo have some playmakers on their team,
and they've given Inter trouble in the past.
They have this season as well. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game. And Roma Sampdoria, a return for Ranieri to Roma, but I think we finally get to see Roma as well, and I think Roma is going to do well in that game. And Sampdoria just feel bad for them.
Yep, for sure. And you got Roma and Sampdoria. So Sampdoria right off the bat at Inter at Roma can't be good. But so that Atalanta Lazio game, that's going to be an Atalanta on the heels of playing Sassuolo. That's going to be fun. So we get to see Gasparini's men. We get to see Ladea back in action. We get to see them all back in action. But we're going to have like 5 straight days of games. It's fun.
It's amazing. So I should call off work for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Got good reason to, I like how they got it spaced out with the times. You can get a lot of these games in, have a chance to watch a lot of them. So it's pretty cool. So, Chad doesn't have a lot of questions today. None at all, actually.
That's all right. They're just happy to have Calcio back, and as are we. I mean,
I think that's what it is. I think we're all just kind of we're done with the questions. Let's get
ready
on with
for the big Coppa final tomorrow, and then obviously the 5 days straight of Calcio. Just love it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Agreed. So with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down.
Yeah.
Richard, let's shameless plug.
Shameless plug. First off, we're keeping this well under 2 hours this time. So hey, welcome back, guys.
We need to break it in a little bit. We need to kind of get ourselves back into the flow.
Ease them in. I got you.
We don't have a whole lot of material. I'm sure we're going to probably maybe record again next Wednesday or next Thursday after all these games have been played.
Yeah.
To digest them. So I think the next one might end up being a bit longer. We'll see.
But yes, for a plug, I mean, obviously you're gonna plug the YouTube page here. Definitely subscribe here, and we're trying to put some more content out here, especially now that the league is back. I want to get some of those vlogs back going. Those are fun for me to do. And then I guess on the personal side, you can. I'm doing like fun FM football manager series with Palermo, trying to get them back to Serie A. That's been fun for me just to learn the Palermo players, and it's really fun. Who knew I'm playing games on anyway. Other than that, you can find me anywhere at R_KHARMAN.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter at FTC_21. Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We have our own channel on Soundcloud. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify. Anywhere there's podcasts, you can find Serie A Sit Down. Here on this YouTube page, please drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. Be ready for any and all updates that we're going to have. We'll try to even throw some more little content and mini videos here as we go with what we're seeing with Serie A and what we can share with you. So
thank you for everyone who joined the stream tonight.
Yeah, all of you in the chat. It was awesome. Thank you for joining us. Great to talk to you guys. And we've got a loyal following there, so we appreciate it. Love the live YouTube show, guys. This is fantastic. I think this is a new thing, Richard.
Yeah, I do too. I love it.
Yep, I think this is a new thing, and we'll have to make this a habit, and we'll definitely do this again next week. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram, or Twitter and Instagram. I don't have Instagram, so you can't find me there.
You can find me there.
You can find Richard there. Facebook, we have a page there, so check us out in all of those spots. Calcio is back. Let's embrace it. Let's love it. All the drama, all the quality football that we're going to see, all the controversy, it's all back in our lives. And boy, with everything that's been going on around us, it came at a good time.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Came at a good time. So So we thank you guys. We thank everybody in the chat. We thank everybody for listening to this podcast. For Richard, I'm Frank. And as always, make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.